kura koutou whānau. Welcome to the Big Hairiest News. Hi, Magenta.
Kia ora.
How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Had a pretty good week. Pretty busy though, very full on. So I'm quite looking forward to the weekend.
Nice. We love a looking forward to the weekend. That's good. That's good. Anything exciting?
Well, this weekend is obviously Cuba Duper for Wellington, so I'll obviously be going to that. And last weekend was out in the city where I actually had a few viewers come and say hi, which was cool. It's good to get to talk to some of those people and say hi, even though I was very socially awkward that day for some reason. But, you know, that's fine. We ball.
It happens.
But yeah, so looking forward to Cuba Duper tomorrow.
Can you explain what it is?
It's basically like the whole of Cuba Street gets taken over and some of the side streets as well, and just becomes this big like festival party. There's like all these different stages with different bands performing, and there's something for everyone, you know, like literally they've got something like for R&B, you know, more rock, metal, like everything's kind of all spread around. There's heaps of stalls. They have a bunch of art stuff going around, and it's just a really good time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
It will be, I'm sure of it.
Trying to fix my screen so I can actually see everything that's going on at the same time. Nice.
How about you? Have you had a good week?
Nice. I have. I've made some significant progress on my wedding dress.
Hell yeah.
3 out of 4 layers. I want to say done, but actually it's probably more like 2 out of 4. Because I think I'm going to have to redo the base layer, but that's fine. It's fine. It's all part of the process.
Yeah.
And I'm counting down the days, so I'm literally less than 30 days now. So.
Oh shit.
No pressure.
And
that's
crunch
not the wedding.
time.
That's to get the dress done in time to like, you know.
Actually have things going on time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not, hopefully not naked on the day, but things happen.
Yeah. She'll be right.
It'll be fine. It'll be fun. Before we get into the fun stuffs, shall we do a quick little bit of housekeeping?
Yep.
If I can share my screen, that would be nice. One of those, one of these. Nice. Merch. You can go and buy merch if you want. The worst introduction to that I've ever said. Head along to bhn.shop.nz, and you can find all of the merch. Currently we've got some bright Chewies. T-shirts and hoodies. Nikki Noboats is still there. BHN, Pat and Chewie are there, and there's a couple of Buffer t-shirts and hoodies. And new recent ones include the Tax Work Less, Tax Wealth More t-shirts and hoodies, which is pretty damn cool. I do want one of these, if I'm honest.
They do look good. They do.
They look very good.
Right.
Very happy with these. So yeah, head on to bhnshop.nz if you would like to support us in that way. You can also get stickers. I think Pat's putting in free stickers over the next wee while. So that's
I believe you get one of the Tax Work Less stickers and the grassroots.
Has he got them on here? No.
Nah, he doesn't have them on there, but he's been showing them. So exclusive little pre-release for those who get them this week.
And then secondly, just a big shout out to our Patreon members and supporters who make the show possible. And if you'd like to see what's going on over there, this is the sort of stuff you get updated on if you're a member. You can kind of get an idea of what's behind this little thing. Yeah, thanks everyone for supporting us. And if you want to be a regular supporter of the show, other than all the amazing things you can do, like sharing and joining us in the chat, head over to patreon.com/BigHairyNews. Yeah, that's our housekeeping for the day. Oh, you can also join the Discord.
Yeah, come hang out.
If I'm lucky. Kiwi Skirt, have you done it?
Oh,
Chuck one
yeah.
up. Yeah.
You always chuck one in the chat.
There's always one in the chat. Keep an eye on Kiwi Skirt because she always puts in the Discord, baby.
Hell
There you
yeah.
go. Yeah, you can come join us on there if you want to have some deep dive discussions and yeah, some cool people in the community. So.
Memes.
And
There's-
memes.
Do you know,
There's a lot of memes.
I was looking in the Discord. We have over 2,000 memes in the Discord.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a lot of memes.
that's a lot of memes.
Yeah, someone says they're pretty lit this week. Pretty lit.
Yeah, I actually had to cut a bunch of them. Like, and we've still got an extra large meme PDF today. So like, whew,
A good meme week then. It's been a good
very
good
good.
meme week. All right. Shall we get into a quick recap of the week?
Yes.
Quick
Let's do it.
recap of the week. I'm gonna do this just so I can remind myself. There was a lot of news this week, so I'm kind of just gonna skip over the news parts and just focus on. Or sorry, I should say there was a lot of interviews this week, and they kind of
Yes.
cover most of the big stories of the week. So I'm just gonna focus on them for now because I feel like they're the big ones. They're the big ones. They
Absolutely.
pretty much cover all the big news, I guess, for the week.
Oh yeah, there were some really good
Fantastic.
discussions this week.
Yes, we did. Laughing like a French person. What? Sorry, I just saw this comment.
Yeah, that's
Did
why
I
it's
say ho ho ho?
I don't
Did
know.
I say ho ho ho? Okay.
You might have. I don't know.
I don't know. Things come out of my mouth. I don't really.
They pay
attention
attention
half
more
the
than
time.
we do, so it's fine.
I know. I get called out for stuff and I'm like, I didn't say that. Did I say that? Oh my god, I said something. Anyways, right. In no particular order, we had some pretty amazing people join us on the show this week. We had absolute goat Gary Panda joining once again to discuss one of his colleagues who had called out the government for not doing enough to fix the wait list in terms of the public sector and boosting up and putting money into that to make sure that the backlist of surgeries does not continue to creep up, and calling him out for giving $50 million to the private sector to do those surgeries instead of giving it to the public sector and employing more doctors and nurses who could have done it without having to pay private profits. So, great work. But it's nice to see that his colleagues are getting the memo and they're going, you know what? Fuck you, we're going to speak out.
Yeah, like he says, you're allowed to speak as an individual as long as it's not on behalf of certain entities.
Exactly, and we should all be following that. Secondly, we had Aaron Hendry from Kickback who joined yourself and Rogers 2 weeks ago, was it?
Yeah, and then he joined Papa Pat as well.
He sure did. But he jumped on to discuss I'd say the big story of the week. It's kind of a non-story, but also it's kind of a blown up, and we'll talk a bit more about this. Tamatha Paul's comments regarding police.
Yes.
And he also had a few comments around her comments about homelessness and some of the shit that was happening with police discarding homeless people's belongings. I think on the request of the councils, I believe.
That's what they said, I believe.
Well, that's what they said. So, but also great. All of these interviews, by the way, are all in on the YouTube page as just interviews. So if you want to just go watch those interviews, it's great. And there's also clips.
Definitely share out those interviews. They're very, very informative.
Yes, if you don't want to watch the whole show. Although you could also just watch the whole show.
Yeah,
or you could go and watch all the clips. And we also had Tanya Waikato from, don't know if she said what law firm, but she's a lawyer that negotiated the release. I can't figure out how to say this because I don't know lawyer terms. She negotiated for the providers who were providing for the school lunch program. She negotiated getting them released from the contracts, and those contracts then going on to the Compass Group. Hopefully I explained that correctly. And she was she made a petition that everyone can go and sign to say, hey, government, you should sort your shit out because the school lunch program is not good enough. And I know that we can do it better because I saw the contracts with the people who were doing it better. So.
Yeah, we were doing it good. No, she's been awesome. Like, I love her. Like, she's been putting in so much money, helping out with templates so that we can make submissions for different bills. Oh,
Nice.
I love her so much.
Is she the one that you pointed me to?
Quite possibly, because I think it was her Blue Sky that I found the Yu-Gi-Oh! Māori Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards from. She was the one that posted those, so yeah, we've definitely popped a few things up of hers over the last few months.
Nice, good to see. And you can go and sign that petition too. I don't think I've got the link handy, but
I'm sure Kiwi Scooter's probably got that already somewhere in the link stuff, and we'll probably pop that in.
she does have a website, and she also has a Instagram that comes up if you just search her name, and I assume it'll be linked there. You guys are smart people. You'll know how to find the links. But yeah, if you search her name, she definitely pops up. So, there you go. First post is petition launched against horrible, disgusting, and inedible. And I can't do it because I'm not looked in. But so it'll be linked through that article as well. There you go. Go and sign the petition. I need to go and sign the petition, to be honest. That's something I need to do on my list.
Yes.
I'll make sure I do that tonight. Then we had Marilyn Garson from Alternative Jewish Voices, talking on a myriad of things, including her thoughts on lawyer Paul Fisher and his incredibly aggressive verbal attack on people protesting the war in Gaza. What a video that was. Jesus Christ, that guy's got some anger issues.
Yeah, that was... I'll be honest, like, as someone who has a lot of trauma-related things, even just listening to that video made my bloody fight or flight just go, fuck, because the visceral aggression in that man's voice is the same as, like, when shit's about to get real. So it was fucking terrifying, to be honest.
Yeah. And the fact that he had done it previously as well, like I think Pat found I don't know if it was the same issue. It was the same issue, it was for something else, I think. But damn, the guy's got some serious issues.
Bro needs to work on his emotion regulation. Like, see a therapist. I know that the wait lists are often long everywhere, but, like, I don't know. Get some help.
Talk about that too. I just posted the petition link in the...
And Papa Pat posted it in as well. Look.
No, that's me posting it on...
Oh, you've invaded his Twitch. Oh, stealth
I posted it to all destinations.
Nice.
Yeah. And there was also some really interesting talks about the war on Gaza as well.
Yes.
So yeah, again, go and find it on the YouTube. I think it's also on Facebook if you want to go see the full interview for that one. And then we also have Michael Milapola. I love that his nickname is Bloody Simone.
Right.
Talking about how he caused some real consequences for the people who attacked the Rainbow Storytime, one of these Rainbow Storytime events earlier, probably a couple of weeks ago. Was it a month ago?
Yeah.
Jeez, that's been a month ago.
It's been it was Auckland Pride, so it would have been February.
February, there you go. Yeah, so probably just over a month ago.
Yeah.
And it's good to see those guys have been charged and charged.
Well, we were waiting to see if everyone, including like Brian Tamaki, gets actually held to account for that one, because
some of them have been charged.
Yes.
And the big one there was he was able to show New FM that one of their hosts was also involved in that and got him fired. Not in a malicious way, but just saying, hey, FYI, do you want to be attached to this person? And they were like, oh, yeah, no, we don't.
No.
Good on him.
Absolutely.
Good on. I think that was all the interviews this week. I believe it was all the interviews this week.
I think so.
Pretty Pretty sure it is.
I'm sure if we've missed one, someone in the chat can point it out if we have, but I don't think we did.
No, I don't think I did. Other than that, just some more crazy Trump shit. In terms of what we've talked about. Yeah, there's RMA changes as well.
Yeah, not happy about that.
Gary's Economics, who did another fantastic video. Yeah. Fun times.
World is on
in
fire.
New Zealand land. Right. Tonight, we are going to continue with the... I'm not going to call it the Tamatha Paul story, because it's not the Tamatha Paul story, let's be honest. She is getting so much shit for this when I feel like it's just another... basically another brown woman getting attacked for having sensible comments.
Or being taken out of like context as well. I mean, it's very Golriz, Garaman.
Golriz.
Or even like Jacinda, to be honest.
Yeah.
She's
even
copped so much crap.
Marama Davidson also got a lot of shit for I think some of the things she said after the protest. I'm not sure which protest it was, but I think it was against anti-trans lady.
Oh yeah, fucking Posey.
Thrown over. Yeah, fucking Posey.
Yeah. But it's disappointing. I'm just very frustrated to see that not only is this being blown up, like I'm seeing quite a few posts on Blue Sky, you know, just taking screenshots of like all the news stories that are just being posted about this specific topic is just insane. Yet there's other stories that we cover and talk about that, I don't know, they have maybe one or two articles here and there. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. But thankfully, there have been some really good articles that have come out thanks to the spin-off, the saving grace of... I know a lot of this stuff is opinion pieces and things, but honestly, the stuff that they put out just sometimes makes me go, thank God there's some sane people out there.
Right?
That's all it is. Of just like, what I know these are opinion pieces, which, you know, they're not... Honestly, half the time I look at them and go, actually, these are better than what journalists will put out there, because this actually has, if you go through it, and I was doing this myself. I was like, well, actually, her comments are backed up in evidence, and, you know, you can say what you want about academia, but research and academia. And I was thinking, I actually found a ton of articles, but these guys put it all in here as well. This excellent article.
They're actually criminologists. They're literally the experts.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, opinion piece, I would say this is probably more of an analysis. There's probably opinions in there, but, yeah, you know, journalism, whatever. Nitty-gritty, what do you call it?
Yeah, the nitty-gritty, but it's also still better than what most of the government's taking, so... This has got more evidence.
So I actually very, very easily found a lot of the evidence that they've there's some great stuff in here. There's the Understanding Police Delivery Report. There is a lot of evidence that say that Māori are around 7 times more likely than Pākehā to be victims of police violence. Māori and Pacific people overwhelmingly preferred other justice measures. I think this one came from... Was it one of these came from... No, there was one... no, it doesn't say what date it was. One of these that they refer to is... it's from 1998.
Cool.
Crazy. Yeah, I know. So it's not... this is not things that have been... these are things that have been proven.
Yeah. So it's like we've known them for pretty much our entire lives, but still chose to do nothing about.
Yeah. So there's a fantastic article there and Mountain Tui has also done a fantastic article, and also calling out that it's just, again, we're attacking a brown wahine who doesn't need to be attacked because someone's spitting truths.
Absolutely.
So there was something in here actually Thanks, Mountain Tui, because I couldn't find it, but you did it. One of the questions that was asked, and this is one that stood out to me, was that she had mentioned, I think she had mentioned in her Instagram video that she had talked about radical reform, and one of the things she said in sort of reference to is things like, as far as I understand, she said things like defunding the police, which
Yes.
everyone got up in arms about, and that's where I think
Yeah.
a lot of this like radical, she's crazy, la la land sort of bullshit came from, which is really shit. But she was asked the question, do you believe we should defund the police? And then she says, I think there are some functions that the police are currently carrying out that other people would be better suited at. Mental health
Yeah.
support and responding to people in significant distress is a big example. We know that there's an 11-year-old autistic girl who was detained in custody and drugged. That's not okay. That's just one incidence of police doing their job, doing a job that I don't think that they're trained and resourced for. And that has been something that police have even talked about themselves, that they do not have the training to deal with mental health. They don't have the skills to deal with mental health situations. A lot of St. John staff have taken on some of those roles because I think they kind of work in tandem together to try and keep, especially in medical situations, or you probably know this better than I do, but sort of I don't know if it's medical situations, but situations where you've got people who are perhaps nonverbal, who have difficulty verbalizing how they're feeling and can get quite distressed and overwhelmed. And police are often called because they are acting in a way that is perhaps seen or felt as threatening. So I think there has been an effort between police and St. John, who are sort of the medical professionals, to try and come into these situations and help these people, as opposed to just going with the law enforcement response, which is
absolutely
oftentimes a lot more aggressive and way overdone. Like just the response is overproportioned would be the correct term.
Yeah, or disproportionate.
Disproportionate, thank you.
Yes.
I words. But this is probably something that you're probably perhaps more, I guess, understanding of, or
well, yeah, I'm not 11, but I do have autism, so I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, nah, I mean, like, when I read that story, first of all, they mistook her for a 20-year-old woman, which is like, first of all, ridiculous. But then the fact that, this person was clearly nonverbal probably could have been a bit of an indicator from the beginning. Like, maybe we should check. And I mean, just the way the thing was handled is not great. But at the same time, like, the police aren't the ones who should be doing those jobs. Like, yes, they can come out if there's an aspect of, needing to kind of maybe provide protection. If there is some form, like, on rare occasions, people can end up harming others. But in my experience and a lot of the people that I know, when you're autistic and having a meltdown, you're more likely to just hurt yourself. Like, you don't really tend to, like, some people do harm other things, but like a lot of the time you're more likely to hurt yourself. So then when these police go in there and they're potentially going to grab someone, that kind of like aggressive grabbing, when basically your limbic system in your brain is fired up and going, can make you then go and turn around and like attack whatever, has just aggressively grabbed you. Bam, there we go. You're going to have assaulting a police officer because they've handled the situation incorrectly, which is just extremely ridiculous. I mean, there are so many things that the police should be doing, like Tamatha pointed out. I think she was talking about how, they should be involved in domestic violence and areas where they are needed more. And we should have more funding for places like, for social work, for mental health. Our mental health system is so severely underfunded for how bad our mental health problems are, that like so many people can't even get into the publicly funded mental health care, let alone maybe like, especially when you need those kind of things, your likelihood of having the financial income to pay for, private, almost impossible. Because like, if you look at a lot of the research, when it comes to disabilities, obviously minorities and of all kinds, disabled people are more likely to not have full-time jobs. They might have, they also have higher financial, costs to live every day. And so like you add all these different things in, and it's just everything needs to be changed. And I think like we talk about the defunding the police, which is an idea, but I think what I would prefer is actually to call it reprioritizing, because the thing is we just need to reprioritize what the police are doing and the funds that are spent through there, and maybe redirecting some of them if that is the case and that is actually needed. But yeah, I also find it interesting that like we've kind of like this whole story has touched on like minorities and the disabled, but it's also like queer people. A lot of queer people don't feel safe around the police, especially trans people, because what happens if the police come and, try to treat you like what they perceive you to be, and then turns out they've got it all wrong? Like, there are so many reasons for people to not feel safe around the police. Like, I myself in town, obviously in Wellington, we've had increased foot patrol. And there are some times where I do feel safer in certain contexts. But there are also a lot of other contexts where it just starts to kind of change the vibe. Like, and it makes everyone feel like you can see the way that people are just kind of a bit off. And that's what I don't really like about the actual, even the foot patrols.
I was thinking about it, and if someone asked me, because they were going around and doing the questions, what do they call it? Talk to the public type things in the articles.
Yeah, little street interviews.
Street interviews. And I was thinking, if they asked me that question, do I feel safe when if there's more police around? And I was thinking, the time that I feel when there's a cop is when I'm driving and I feel uncomfortable. Because I'm always just like, oh, I wonder what's going on in there. I'm like, don't look too much, they'll pull you over, they'll pull you over. I freak out when I see this. Like, I'm not even speeding, I'm probably going like 98, to be honest. But it's just that thing of like, you see the police on the road and you're always watching out for them, and you're like, oh shit, is that a cop? Oh, is that a cop coming towards me? That's the time when I probably feel the most fearful of cops. But I am in an incredibly privileged position, so and a lot of times if I've had any interactions with police, it's usually at like events with a strong police presence. And I think I would say typically, and I don't know, I could be completely wrong here, typically at events I find the police presence is a little bit less intimidating. I don't know, how do you feel about it?
I mean, I think again, it really depends on how it's run or how they're positioned. Like, I know for a while here in Wellington, they trialed kind of having more cops on the street on like Friday and Saturday nights while everyone's partying. And I was conflicted, because in some ways, yes, it is good to know that there is some people close by if something does go down. However, I do worry, because when people are drinking, their ability to process anything more than what is the most salient to them is greatly diminished. So if you actually have drunk people and they come and they just see a bunch of cops walking towards them, they might interpret that wrong. And it can actually kind of create problems in that sense. So I am conflicted with those things. I think if it's done in a way where it's like, maybe they're positioned at the kind of near the front of an event at a stall so that they can, be called over. Like, I've worked at events where we've had to have, the emergency services called because something's gone wrong. Thankfully, not really in terms of violence or aggression, mostly in terms of medical emergencies. But I think there are definitely ways to handle it and do it. But yeah, I guess it's just really how they do it for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I guess the point that Tamatha was making is that them sort of walking around and just making themselves look intimidating, I think, is the thing. But like, if they're kind of just standing on the side, like, I think I'm thinking of when they're at events, I'm thinking of them just sort of standing at the sidelines and just, just watching, chilling out. A lot of times they're just sort of having discussions, and people will be a bit silly and they'll go, hey, cop. But I guess it is really different if they're sort of, walking around and looking for it does kind of feel like they're looking for stuff to do, they're looking for a problem to solve, as opposed to I'm just here keeping an eye on things. If something happens, I'm here if you need me, type thing. But
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like this comment here says that, they don't even investigate burglaries in the area, but will walk the streets to kind of just have the appearance. And I think that's what I think it gets to me is that, like, it feels like it's that whole appearance. And I'm kind of thinking about how, we watched last week in that Wired thing when it comes to these playbooks by dictators. What do? They try to make the appearance of change. So if you notice there's less homeless people's belongings on the street because they've just gone and thrown them out, you're going to think, wow, they've actually done something. They have actually changed something. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense from that perspective that they'll just do something that's kind of front facing and they can be all like, look, we're tough on crime. Look at all the police guys walking around. Isn't it great? And I mean, yeah, it also just makes me think of actually I'll find it. I'm going to find a quick meme. I don't know if you want to.
While you're finding a quick meme, this is one of the reports that came out of the Understanding Police delivery review report. There's a really fantastic, it's all part of the police, found on the police website. There's nice little infographics here, and one of the things talking about the use of force, researchers found that, among many other things, the last one here is mental health callouts include people with disabilities who can be misinterpreted as unpredictable or non-compliant. There's another one here that says police sometimes view people and experience communication difficulties as non-compliant. However, they may have a disability or health condition that impacts the interaction. And then researchers highlighted police behaviour that appeared to escalate or de-escalate risk situations. Things that de-escalated, and this is the police behaviour, I believe, if I'm reading this correctly. So if they want to de-escalate, the police need calm demeanour, empathy and understanding of the person's situation, clear, respectful communication, appropriate questioning and building rapport, respecting personal space and awareness of power dynamics, and appropriate scaling of tactics in response. Things that escalate a situation is police mocking and condescending using mocking and condescending language, abrupt or aggressive approaches, more than one officer issuing demands, and we've seen that. That one rings out a little bit because we've seen that with a lot of American stories about sort of like overblown situations with police. Quite oftentimes it's the multiple commands by police, not only conflicting, just like screaming at you, which can be quite jarring. Then the presence of police dogs and unprofessional language and behaviour. So this stuff exists out there. There's even stats. 56% of all proceedings resulted in a prosecution. Māori were above this average and at almost 60%, and Pacifica below 47%. Or influences on police prosecution decision making. Some predictors, such as 1.93 times.
Yeah, times.
More likely, I think. If you've got gang connections, gang members or associates were 1.93 times more likely to be prosecuted. And then 11%, all other things being equal, Māori are 11% more likely to be prosecuted than New Zealand Europeans or Pākehā. So these stats are out there. I'm not 100% sure how old this report is. That stuff's sometimes a little hard to find. And there's also all the recommendations at the end there as well. So the police aren't oblivious as an organisation. They're not completely oblivious to this stuff. They know that this is the shit that goes on and that they are actively participating in these kinds of these stats and the feelings of that minorities feel, or those people who feel unsafe with police around. So this is not new. And I think Tamatha's just getting like absolutely attacked for being right.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And
well, and this thing, she wasn't even asserting anything specifically. She was relaying what she has heard and then using that to inform her decisions. Like,
yeah,
informed decisions. Crazy.
Yeah, but also she is I mean, everyone does it. I was like, well, I've heard that some people, like our school lunches type shit. But if she's relaying these sorts of things for her constituents and they are backed up, then that's her job as the MP, right? As the representative of her community. At the very least, she should be voicing these and getting them looked into. And lo and behold, backed up by evidence.
Right.
So.
And I mean, like, we've got a lot of people in the chat like at this, even today, it's a coin flip if the cop you're talking to will take your rape complaint seriously. And like, these are the things that they should be looking into. These are the areas that they're more needed, not in the areas where they're off. They can actually cause more harm to people. Because, I would say pretty much every minority that exists tends to have a big portion of them that feel uncomfortable in police presence. Like, sex workers. There's so many, a lot of women don't feel safe around the police. A lot of brown people don't feel safe. Like, everyone pretty much doesn't feel safe around the police. And this is all it makes me think of, though, is
Here's the thing. I don't know what you kids are up to, but I do know one thing. Laws are threats made by the dominant socioeconomic ethnic group in a given nation. It's just a promise of violence that's enacted, and police are basically an occupying army. You know what I mean? You guys want to make some bacon?
And I mean, like, that kind of sums up how I feel about it a little, because, while laws can be great and they are supposed to be helpful and there to help people, they often end up creating harm.
Yeah. The last thing on this particular story, other than I was going to show you guys 101 headlines, but honestly, I don't really need to. If you just go to the latest, I'm pretty, actually, no, I might have had to look this up. Just go unconscious bias police and go look at these headlines. And RNZ will I love this because they have related stories. You just click through all of the related stories and it will just keep taking you back through, stories that go back. I think I went back to 2021 or 2020. And it was all the same. Concerns of police bias, police unconscious bias against Māori. Like, it doesn't take long to find the evidence to this stuff, and it pisses me off that the reporters haven't actually cited where she's getting this information from, other than community, but actually just saying that, she's kind of right.
There is definitely a conversation to be had. And I think it's frustrating that it seems like this has been blown up to kind of hide all the other stuff that the government's still doing. The lunches are still shit. That hasn't changed. And then it's just frustrating to see them do this. It's irritating. And I get sick of having to be like, can we not be fucking racist and misogynistic all the time? It's so infuriating.
Yep. Absolutely. Do you want to refresh us with some memes? And I will set up some super chats.
I think so. Let's go to memes.
With the memes.
All right. The deep state that secretly controls the government is literally capitalism and is extremely obvious to anyone paying attention. And I'm sure the chat will feel like they relate to that meme. I got a twofer here. When the showroom girl starts giving you a hand job doing the chest drive. Yeah.
Give me a second. I saw Elon, but I didn't see Trump.
Yeah. It took me a minute too. Once I clicked,
oh,
I was
Jesus,
like,
that's gross.
Grim. But I also loved that this one is a real life community note. It's crazy. I bought this before Elon went crazy, and then it says, Tesla only started selling the Cybertruck after Elon Musk went crazy.
It's true.
Work in progress? Still not convinced. Great. This will fool them. And if you're listening on the audio, I genuinely think you should come look at our memes or check out the memes. They're in a file. This meme I love, just Big Bird being Jeffrey Goldberg.
So many good ones. I think the other one I saw was the Power Rangers and a clown.
I don't think I've seen that one.
There was one with the Power Rangers. There was there's been so many. It's so good.
I mean, it's definitely the story that keeps giving us so many great memes, but also it's terrifying that this is real life and not like an episode of Black Mirror.
No,
Actually, this
can't
one
write this
was
shit, eh?
posted in the Discord by Chewie. It says, "Evening all, PC Luxon here to tell you that we're doing a fantastic, incredible job on Law and Order. We have a few firearm incidents right now, but nothing to worry about, as we'll soon be legalizing semi-automatics." And then there's a little Atlas network in the corner there, which is just a little beautiful chef's kiss. David Seymour, Tim Jago, is this a close friend and mentor? And this is my time to remind everyone that Tim Jago, the PDF file, is David Seymour's homie. So, you know. And then this, as an answer to labor shortage, as Florida cracks down on employers that hire undocumented workers, Gov Ron DeSantis has a potential solution to fill vacated jobs: children. Since we know he wants the children to go back into the mines. And then this one, anxiety, what if you're not good enough? Depression, everyone hates you. Pete Hegseth, we're going to bomb Yemen. One more. When did firing park rangers, scientists, and air traffic controllers become a better idea than simply taxing billionaires? And we'll leave it on that note for now. Good note.
I think that'd be so much easier than just fucking trying to figure out who to fire. This is the one I was talking about that I had to mind. There was so many, honestly, just so fucking many. So many.
Fuck. So good.
So good. Like it's sad that this is like the biggest news story this week, but I'm so glad that we're able to laugh about it, and we've got meme culture that just.
I mean, it's wild. It's also just so like it's not even the only case of these things happening. Like it's very clear that we've got a bunch of old people in places who don't know how to use technology. Like, I'm sorry, but I have seen so many times when like someone's been accidentally added to a group chat and people are like, oh shit, get them out. Like, how do you just chill there for so long? It's crazy.
Yeah, I guess it was just way too many people in there. But also, why did he have him in his close contacts that he could just add him? But no
I thought he said he was a loser though. He's like, oh, he's a loser.
And they just, I think what was his excuse? Something along the lines of, he just, you know how they kind of, people just get like added to your group chats randomly? Like that doesn't happen. You have to add them into your group chats.
Oh, the other excuse I heard was that he meant to add some other guy with the same first name.
Yeah. I think, there was two excuses. Someone's like, oh, you know what technology's like these days. People just randomly get added to your contact list. It's like, no, that doesn't happen. Doesn't happen,
Oh my god. So funny.
All right, let's get to the super chat. There was words in there. Daniel McGuire for $2 says, I'm bi and disabled. Everyone please be gay, do crime. I know that reference now. Thanks, Magenta.
Hell yeah. We educated M's this Pride Month, people.
Yay, I learned things. Also, I'm kind of repping a rainbow today, so
oh,
I don't know
hell
if
yeah.
this counts. This is my Japan
that definitely counts.
Hoodie.
That definitely counts.
I made this.
I didn't actually technically bring anything for like the last few days of Pride, so I'll just put my uni lanyard on. There we go.
Nice. I feel like we're gonna have to make this an event next year and be like, it's Pride Month.
Yeah.
Every Friday we just like, elevate it.
Oh my god, yes. That gives me excuses to put on more costumes. Yay.
Kai Matata for $10. Oh, thank you for $10. Jacinda's dad was a cop who took part in the Dawn raids. She apologized for the Dawn raids while Chippy belittles Tamatha and then doubles down. The difference in empathy is the leadership. In the leadership is stark. Yes, this is the other thing I was going to talk about as well. It doesn't take long to find criticism of Chris Hipkins' comments. I understand kind of why he's doing it, but also he shouldn't be doing it. I don't agree with his stance on Law and Order. I think it's a dumb move, to be honest. I mean, actually, I should open up because do you have that one video that I sent you? Oh yes, I do. I can.
Yeah, because that one, for me, it was like, okay, yep, he's been dumb. calling her stupid, belittling her like that was just not a good move. But the video that I saw today was just like, okay, the doubling down is pretty disgusting now. And I mean, I feel like if the play is to try and ride the middle, to try and coax over, the national and maybe ACT voters, I don't know if I'm a fan of it, if this is what it means he's
It
going to
also
do.
looks like he's in a uni hall too, so this is kind of a
yeah, actually,
like
I think
know your audience.
yeah, it might have been a Young Labour event by the
Ooh,
from the
geez, that
comments.
makes it even worse. If I do this and then do this, is it just going to keep? Is it going to play?
Yeah, just unmute it.
Feel less safe when they see more police are wrong.
I mean, I can personally say that I feel that way, and I know a lot of, brown people, a lot of women do feel quite similar.
I think it is a very minority view, and
no pun intended.
Which,
I
like,
do love that. It's a minority view that you feel unsafe. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you couldn't be more right, technically, bro. But now you just sound like a fucking dick. Like, yeah. I like Chippy. Like, he comes on the show and he's the bro. Like, he gets it. And then he just does shit like this. And I'm like, okay, like, it's a little two-faced. It's a little, I don't know. I don't really like it.
I don't know. I genuinely don't understand the line here. Like, is it really just to be like centrist and win over the national people that are like law and order? It just doesn't.
Yeah,
I mean, it's weird.
I did like, and I know there was actually, I think someone, because there was a post on Facebook and someone was like, I was astonished and disappointed by his response. Apparently Nandor, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, Green MP, ex-Green MP, was like, I didn't. So I guess maybe he's known to be a bit like this in the background. Yeah. Like, disappointing if so, because I want to like him. I really do.
And I need him to win. I do need him to pull over the people that we need to win. But at the same time,
I don't know if that's how I want it to, like, yeah. It just gives me a yucky feeling, and while I do want him to be able to do that, this is just concerning because the language is just, especially given the topic that it's around, I don't see why he's kind of not aligning, like even just being like, hey, I don't agree with it. Like there were so many other ways that he could have handled that. Like he could have literally done pretty much anything else. It just feels stupid and I don't get what he's up to.
Yeah. Strange. Very, very strange. Alrighty. Second story of the night, which was not on my list, and I literally I found the story, or I remembered that I was going to use the story after I did the thumbnail and the description. So unfortunately, it's not in the title, but it is one of the stories that we should talk about tonight, and it follows on quite nicely from what we were talking about just before. You did some nice segueing. You were just a little early. Yeah, wasn't
premature.
Sprinkled in. Fears over minister's bid to loosen psychologist rules. I don't know if you
didn't see this one.
This.
What the hell? No, I didn't. I didn't see that one.
Oh, cool. All right. You have lots to say about this then.
Oh, no.
Essentially, Matt Ducey has put a proposal forward to allow where does he put it? Oh, I can't even really find it. Basically, he wants to allow associate psychologists who would only be trained basically up to, I think it's 1 year postgrad diploma.
Yeah, I see that here.
Which is pretty shit. Basically, 200 psychologists from the sector have signed a joint letter addressing him saying, anyone with an undergraduate degree in psychology could apply to do a 1-year course and then would be able to register as an associate psychologist. And
That means I
currently,
could. That means if that's what they changed it to, I could do 1 year, and I'm a no. No.
And then to give more context to this, I know a bit about this sector, and you definitely will, but people that may not know. So currently the pathway to psychology registration requires about 7 years worth of training with a master's or PhD and a postgraduate diploma. The content of the undergraduate psychology degree is not a mental health qualification. It's not designed to prepare people for individual work. Most of the time it covers social psychology, some theory, and nothing to do with mental health, assessment, therapy, or working with people in distress. Psychologist is a protected term for a reason, just like you can't call yourself a doctor unless you have certain qualifications. You cannot call yourself a psychologist unless you have very specific qualifications and you are registered with the psychology board. Think also lawyers who have to pass the bar to practice law. So it's the same as essentially someone who's got an undergraduate degree and knows about psychology. They kind of know the facts and the science, and they've done the research perhaps, and they've written reports about it, but they actually haven't learned how to, they haven't learned the bedside manner, right? They haven't actually gone out there and learned how to talk to people and help them get through their mental health issues. And it's just like being a doctor, right? You're dealing with someone's personal health and very, very vulnerable people who can be in situations such as, suicidal, self-harming. Someone like, I don't know about you, but like if I had a psychology degree, I wouldn't be able to help. I wouldn't be able to help someone. I'd be able to say, hey, I kind of understand what you mean. Like, you've got these suicidal thoughts, which maybe like I can explain it to them, but I can't help them.
I mean, unfortunately, I'm in a slightly different position because while I only have an undergraduate degree, I have just been surrounded by suicide my whole life. I have helped many people through those kind of experiences. So like I do actually have some tools kind of in my like kit to be slightly helpful, but at the same time that is like literally just a tiny couple of little bit of band-aids to try and get them to the person who can actually help them. You know what I mean? Like I can help kind of delay people straight away so that we can get them where they need to. But again, like you said, I mean, in an undergraduate degree, like I wouldn't even say it's just bedside manner. We don't go in depth on things. We just have to learn a little bit of everything. And a lot of like that kind of undergrad stuff is also about kind of just meeting requirements. It's not necessarily about learning how to do all of that on your own and have a bit more of that natural instinct. So yeah, that would be ridiculous if this is the case. Like I would be severely concerned because there is it's way too important of a job. You are literally like basically like a doctor, life or death. Like these people are dealing with people who, a lot of them are dipping in and out of the precipice of wanting to be here and not be here, or dealing with so many issues.
Psychologists are very much like they're not psychiatrists. Psychiatrists are like mental health doctors, in that they can prescribe drugs as such, is kind of the difference, but they don't really have bedside manner as such. They're kind of like the surgeons of the psychology world. Psychiatrists are just there to figure out what your problem is, diagnose it, and then give you the medication you need if you need medication, or send you off to the thing you need. The psychologists are the ones that are kind of like, this, you can definitely roast me for this and tell me I'm wrong, but they're kind of like overqualified counselors and somewhere in between a psychiatrist and a counselor, where they have that bedside manner, but they also can do the diagnosis work. They kind of have that research thing, but
no, I think that's
I don't know. Am I wrong?
Different.
Tell me.
Yeah,
tell
I think
me
a little bit. So the psychologist will be the one who diagnoses a person to then go to the psychiatrist, who can then be like, oh, you've been given this diagnosis and these are the medications that we'll consider, like, so say you have to go to a psychologist to get diagnosed with ADHD. It's the psychiatrist who then goes, oh, okay, yep, they've said you have ADHD, because if you don't have that tick from the psychologist, they can't give you certain medications generally. And usually that is the kind of steps that you take. So it's more that they just deal with different things, but the psychologist does a lot more of the deep dive stuff into, the mental health, the interpersonal, like there's a lot of steps involved. Whereas the psychiatrists are more doctor, and but doctor who does psychologists medication. So that's
They're
more.
kind of like
I'd say they're kind of
like
closer on
brain doctors.
Yeah.
Kind of mental health doctors, and then you have psychologists, which are the diagnosers, the research people, but they also they know how to differentiate people's issues and things.
Yeah.
And then there's counselors as well, right? But counselors are more like your regular maintenance, right? As opposed to deep diving therapy. Would that be correct?
Counselors tend to, well, not even just like small things. They tend to deal with things that are also kind of considered more, and I guess a lower, like more acute kind of small things. They can't, if you go to them being like, I'm struggling with schizophrenia, they'll be like, I'm really sorry to hear that. If there's something specific that we might be able to help you through, we could do that. But then they'd have to refer them, onto a psychologist.
I guess it's that difference between psychologists would maybe go through more of the CBT and those kind of methods, whereas the counselor would go more through the tools and strategies and the sort of surface level type stuff.
Yeah,
but they'd also probably more so do more anxiety, depression, those sort of surface. Well, I don't say surface level, but
counselors also tend to do like, because like as CAMS. I don't know if they've changed their name. Probably have since I was in high school, but it used to be child, adolescent, mental health services. You'd have counselors through there. A lot of the stuff they'd take you through would be more actually quite similar to CBT stuff, but obviously less deep dive, like you say, because like they'll teach you, for self-harm, they'd be like, oh, use rubber bands or put your hands in ice, kind of, strategies and those kinds of things. So, like they're all important and they all need more funding and more people working in them, but we don't need to fast track psychology. Let's not fast track this one, please. It's bad enough what the fast track with the earth, but like trying to fast track people who are dealing with such big, like a lot of these mental health things are also, things like ADHD and autism. That is a person's entire life. That is not just, one facet of them a lot of the time, depending on what kind of diagnosis you have.
And the tools that they give you from no offense to counselors, but sometimes the counselors will just treat the symptoms and not the cause. And I think that's where psychologists kind of come in and they go, oh, okay, actually, now they've talked to you for several hours. I understand that, you're not depressed because, chemical imbalance or, don't like that term, but it's not just you're depressed and we can kind of lift your mood type thing and it's stress related. It's actually, oh, you're actually depressed because of this underlying cause, this underlying thing that is continually happening, and now you're getting depressed. And actually, that's in my case cyclical depression because of usually job and feeling stuck in things.
Oh yeah,
but I didn't know that until I got diagnosed with ADHD. So
and that's the thing, is mental health is a really complex thing, especially when it comes to like the neurodivergent aspect of everything. Since like that's still very like we're still only starting to truly understand those things now. So it's a lot of really and like that's the thing, is like because it is the psychology, like that's probably one of the most important things in terms of our country. Like psychology literally dictates everything we do. Your emotions and attitudes and all of those things inform your behaviors. So if we're going to allow basically better help, that's really all it's going to be like, is going to better help. And that's just, like, I'm actually just like, I'm so glad I didn't see that earlier before tonight, because holy shit. There's
a wee interview here as well from I think it was Laura Barkwell. She's talking about why there is a lack of psychologists in the public sector. It's to do with funding and privatization, that's part of it. But it's actually the pathways, but I'll just let her speak to this if it'll go.
And supervision to do that.
Conversely, there are a lot of people presumably on waiting lists to try and see psychologists because there is a shortage. So would something like an associate psychologist role not take some of the pressure off those lists?
No, so I think one of the current issues is, so the training programs have quite small amounts of people who go through them. My understanding is the Ministry of Health have increased some of the positions in the training pathways, but they haven't then increased the amount of psychologist positions that are available within the public health service. So actually, if you're training extra people but you don't have additional roles for them to go into, then you're not going to be able to increase people's ability to access psychology support. So,
sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Doctors, nurses,
Yep.
teachers not so much because there's tons of teaching positions, but funding wise, yep, you can get people through the. So what I hear from this is that, and from my experience and understanding, is that they may increase the training positions, but if they don't have positions for those people to go into in the public sector, what ends up happening, privatization, they all go into their own private clinics because they now are psychologists, they can practice psychology, they pass the bar, as a saying, but because they can't get positions in the public sector, which I'm sure a lot of them do want to go into public health, they end up going private, and in order to cover their costs in private, they end up having to pay $150. I think it's the cheapest I've ever seen a psychologist 1 hour appointment, easily in the 200s for a psychologist appointment. And because the public sector is so underfunded and there aren't enough people in there to get people through, is that people are forced to go into the private sector and pay, pay what they have to pay, but it's really inaccessible. Yeah, inaccessible. And it's just 1 hour.
Private, you're looking like even more. Like, it's just ridiculous. I mean,
I've definitely seen $250 or $270 for a psychologist appointment, and you can't just go to one. Like, it's a 10-session type thing, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's the deep dives
and that's the thing is you have to have a lot, and that's not even including the fact that like a lot of the ADHD and autism assessment requires you to have someone that knew you when you were younger, and not everyone has that person. So we already have other things that we need to focus on in those areas of kind of maybe, allowing psychologists now to like have broader understandings of how to diagnose, not just let some randos who decided to do a 1-year course. Like, it's terrifying.
So some interesting stuffs that are coming out of there. I'm glad the profession's come out and said, fuck off.
Oh, absolutely.
One of the things that's also mentioned as well is that the risk here is that someone who was from, I think it was Otago, did say that over in the UK that they have trialed something like this, but associate psychologists train under, and they work in tandem with trained psychologists, and they don't just go out there on their own. So the risk is that if you allow that to happen, you've got all these people who are underqualified, or unqualified, let's be honest, who could then replace psychologists in the public sector. Like, they're not going to go out of their way to they've got associate psychologists. They don't need psychologists. We've fixed the hole, but they're actually just making things worse, basically.
Yeah, I mean, like, shout out to all the psychologists that taught me how to socialize. My situation was complex. You can't fast track treatment. And that's the point, is that like these are mental health, and these things are so just like, I only know a little more than maybe some who do undergrad because I've grown up living and being surrounded by very mentally unstable people. But it's like, and that's the thing, is there can be so many factors involved, like when it comes to comorbidities, which is where you have multiple diagnoses within one person, that can add on even more complexity. So like, there is a lot of different variables to basically be like, oh, nah, you'll be right. Just like, go do a quick little post-grad. She'll be right.
Yeah, there is a small comment here, basically from Ducey, saying that we cannot simply just sit around, which apparently is always the comment of like, well, we have to do something. We can't, you guys might not agree, but we have to do something, which is something I've heard from every fucking minister about everything that they do at the moment. To suggest otherwise is disappointing. It is crucial to understand the associate psychology role is currently being developed with Health NZ in partnership with the tertiary sector and the New Zealand Psychologist Board. That's good. But Health NZ are also working with the sector to develop the employer guidance and identify ongoing training and support for this workforce that ensure safe practice. Great. Would like to see the full plan before you start going ahead with this. I think it's what most people want to see. We know every single year there are a large amount of psychology students who are graduating with an undergraduate degree but are unable to progress further due to the limited number of postgraduate clinical pathways. This role keeps more people pursuing the career within the mental health and addiction workforce. Fantastic. Pathways. Great. Pathways to become certified, right?
Well,
we're not just going to stop at the associate minister, right? Associate psychologist.
My issue with what they said is that, like, that's not even just the issue, is that, like, yeah, there are people who have their undergrad degrees because we can't afford to do postgrad. You don't get study link help with postgrad. Like, I would jump at a chance to do postgrad because my ultimate goal would be to work in Māori mental health. But I know that that's actually going to cost me financially so much more than I can afford right now. And the likelihood of being able to afford that it's there, but it's going to take time. So there is so many people who would take those pathways, but there's not enough funding and ability for people who genuinely want to do these and have a passion for it because they're fucking poor. Like, that's really it.
Yeah, and the only way you can get this is by limited funding, essentially, to do a PhD or master's. You have to get basically sponsored to do it. If you don't get sponsored to do it, you can't continue on. I think you can do your master's, but you can't do your PhD without sponsorship. And guess who defunded all of the social sciences and humanities?
This government.
So good fucking luck making more psychologists, Doocy.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that they did that, and now they want to have the appearance, because if they pass this through, they'll be like, look at all these psychologists we have now. No, fuck you.
Underqualified psychologists who can't fucking do shit. I would not feel comfortable as a psychologist undergraduate or even
neither
as,
would
postgrad. I would not feel comfortable like diagnosing or even just talking to people about their mental health. Like, I can have a conversation with someone, but it's kind of like level playing field, you know? I'm not going to sit there and therapize someone. It's just like, no way.
You know, exactly. Like, at this point, I'm like, hey, the most I can do is go, hey, bud, what you says maybe sounds like this. You should go talk to someone about it. Because that's all I can literally say, because I'm not qualified to do that.
It's that thing of like, I know about things, but I'm not the expert of things.
Yeah. It's almost like there's a reason it takes people 7 years to get these degrees. Like, they'd be like saying, do you want your doctor to be able to just take a 1 year postgrad diploma and be able to perform surgery? No, I don't think so.
No. Yeah, so that's a fun story. I'd like to see if it goes anywhere, but if it does and the boys don't cover it, we most certainly will be, because I feel like both of us are pretty passionate about this particular topic, and it's very important. So, there you go. All right, let's meme it up.
Meme it up. All right.
Meme it up.
Sorry, the meme starting with Elon doesn't feel great.
No, I feel like we just went.
Just claim Elon Musk, the billionaire advisor to the US President Donald Trump, said the fundamental weakness of Western civilization is empathy. And here's this quote. I told you once that I was searching for the nature of evil. I think I've come close to defining it. A lack of empathy. It's the one characteristic that connects all the defendants. A genuine incapacity to feel with their fellow man. Evil, I think, is the absence of empathy. Which I would fucking agree. Then we have this meme on the side of, this is horrible, this man has no insurance, I'm on it, doc, and then just pushes him out the hospital door. Like, that's one thing about American healthcare I could not even fathom having to do. That would be so hard.
From bloody SpongeBob. Jeez, SpongeBob is cutting edge social commentary.
Why is it not changing? There we go. You treat the janitor with the same respect as the CEO. Come on, dude. I'm not going to guillotine the janitor. Because if you don't choppy, they won't stoppy.
Stoppy.
Pippin accidentally getting added to the Saruman Denethor group chat. I don't really know Lord of the Rings, but this is funny. I kind of get it.
There'll be someone who appreciates this.
Oh yeah, this little Simeon Brown. New Zealanders expect Health New Zealand to provide a health service, not act as the health police and sharing views on every local issue. Then objectives of the Health New Zealand to design, arrange, deliver services, encourage, support, maintain. Like it's literally in their job description. Okay, I'm a fight. Neo-colonial imperialist propaganda. Damn, people are super indoctrinated by this shit. Then we got Pick Your Sleeper. I thought this was so good. I'll pick Bernie Sanders every day.
They need to put Trump's one in there too. I'm pretty sure there's pictures of him falling asleep.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
Already asleep.
Old man shouts at cloud and rainbows. I would rather sell New Zealand assets to foreign investors than be woke. Old woke man shouts at billionaires. Yes. I love him so much.
I can't believe he's still going.
I know, right?
AOC at the moment, and they're like white oligarchy tour. Holy shit, bruh.
So good. Did you watch the Hassan Piker interview?
Yes. Only like a 5-minute thing, but it was so good. And he's like, here's my little things I got from Japan for you. Oh,
I know, right? So adorable.
I love the relationship the three of them have.
Oh, hell yeah. Teen warned not to accept group chat invites from national security advisors she doesn't know. Because I did hear that one, that they were blaming the guy who got added for not leaving.
Yeah, it's your fault for sticking around.
Yeah. And then spray painted penis, only thing holding Cybertruck together since the recall.
Oh my Jesus Christ.
I know, yeah. I probably should have put a jump scare warning.
Sure, you did. Oh God, it hurts.
Nationals' commitment to you. We will get our country back on crack. Which I know that Pat and Chewie were talking about the good old increased meth rates that are going on, which is super cool and I love it. One more. Being a fascist is a submissive trait. What do you want to give strong men ultimate power for? To dominate you? Slut. I mean, if we take that angle, they might change their mind.
I'd like to pivot now. Oh, I can pivot or I can just quickly cover something. Actually, no, I'm going to quickly cover it because I got it in the thumbnail and I feel like this is... I looked into it a bit more and I feel like I haven't quite got there, so I'm not going to cover it too much. But just to put it out there, Bishop sees $150 million for community housing providers levels playing field with Kāinga Ora. So basically, he is essentially helping or putting money towards community housing providers and offering them cash from the Crown, essentially, to help them in funding the initial push for housing, community housing development. I have personally worked with a company or social enterprise, essentially, that does community housing, and they are actually providing a really good need. However, at the beginning, it was really, really hard because they didn't have any assets large enough to essentially borrow more money from the bank. So they had to fund a ton of money just to get the project off the ground in order to get the mortgage to build these houses. Now that they've got a few assets under their belt, they're able to get the ball rolling even further, and they're able to borrow a bit more because they've got assets to borrow against. Community housing providers are fantastic because they fill a lot of the holes where Kāinga Ora can't house people, or they won't house people for things like not paying their benefits or whatever other fucking sanctions they want to give them, or criminal records, whatever bullshit, right? So they're able to fill those holes and say, actually, the people that the government won't house because of whatever reason, we'll fill that gap and get them off the housing register. So I'm pro community housing and giving them more money. I don't know specifically where this money is coming from and what this means. So that is where I'm going to stop and just go, sounds great, but also it kind of also sounds like Kāinga Ora aren't going to get given the resources to also build houses. It's kind of like, it's the same idea of throwing it to the private sector and say, you guys do it, you know?
Yeah.
We can't do it. We can't possibly do it. You guys do it. So I love the idea, but it would be nice to see it on top of Kind Order also building.
Yeah, I don't think, it doesn't feel
It hasn't
accurate to
said
say that.
anything here.
Yeah, like it doesn't replace, just like, great, give them that money, but that does not replace what you're doing with Kind Order. Like,
Mhm.
you need to do both because $2.9 billion to landlords.
Mm.
Just, one
And
number.
That's 150 million. That's a drop in the bucket.
Right? That's
So-
only in the 0.9 of the billion.
It's tiny money. So I don't know. I'm all for it. I'd love to see more community housing funding, but I'd also like to see more houses built in general. So.
Also, apparently, according to this, I'm not sure if this is true, but it might be
Not
coming from
surprised.
sale of house. So it's so that would actually mean you have to double whatever they're selling and whatever they took from Kind Order. You got to double that because now they're also getting rid of assets. Yeah.
Which
Nah,
they
that
could
makes
use to
sense.
borrow against. Which they
Yeah.
Or they could put 6 houses on those giant, was it Remuera? I think it was. Those giant properties, state houses properties that they saw on the side of a hill. They could put 6 houses on that. And then they've like quadrupled the cost of that land, right? Because now you got $2 million land asset. Now you've got $2 million land asset with like 4 fucking $500,000 homes on it.
Also,
But no,
quick note.
couldn't possibly do that.
Good point from Gary
That's
here.
true.
It's
Yes.
not publicly owned, and that is the other thing, is that
That
we
is
need to keep public assets. It's great to give
Agreed.
them to the other things, but give it to the publicly owned shit. My God, stop trying to privatize us, you Tory bastards. I mean, what?
It's a give and take, right? Like it's this idea that someone called me out for, but Gary Panda said it. It's the idea that the public and private sector work really well hand in hand, but the public sector is the one that needs to be boosted, and the private sector will fill any small gaps, not
Exactly.
replace, small gaps.
Mm-hmm.
For the people that want to pay for their health insurance, like go for it, whatever. But as long as you're not taking money from public, it's the same thing here, right? The public sector will only go so far in terms of what they are comfortable with in terms of housing, and then the community providers will provide the extra assistance for those who perhaps don't meet the requirements for God knows what fucking reason. But it's the idea that they have to work in tandem. But Kind Order should be the one that are building the fucking houses, not the community.
Yeah, exactly. Like, very annoyed.
So we'll see how that goes. But that was my little. We'll watch the story. But I feel like it was a little bit buried. It only came out in the last 24 hours, I think. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do a couple of super chats.
Yes.
And then I'm going to go into some really good news. Actually, how many memes you got? Have we got a few memes to go?
Oh, yeah,
in?
we'll just
or do we keep them for the end?
Oh, yeah, we can probably keep them till the end if you want.
Okay, cool. All right. Then Kiwi Burb for $2 says, "I'm just glad we have MMP in New Zealand." Yes, so am I.
Mm-hmm.
Especially from what I'm seeing in the States. Tamatha again for $2 says, "Be gay, do crimes. Be takatapui and stay unruly." Oh, I like that.
Hey, yo, that's
kinda
fire.
Not rhyming, but it's kind of, I don't know what the next thing to rhyming is, where it sounds the same. A simile is not right, because I'm pretty sure it's...
I don't know English grammar words.
I learnt them. It took me probably way too long through my schooling career to figure out what a noun and a pronoun and all that was. But once I got it, I got it.
I only learned that stuff when I started learning Te Reo Māori, so...
Oh, good on you.
Yeah. What taught me I was really bad at English.
Hey, sometimes you need both to sort of,
Oh, absolutely.
helps. Mr. Davis for $2 says, 1 year is the same as a beginner te reo at TWA.
Te Wānana o Aotearoa. That's what it stands for.
Oh. Is a beginner today, isn't a beginner and today? Like
Yeah, so like to do a beginner course in Te Reo Māori is 1 year.
There you go. Yeah, no, yeah. I don't really want to be therapized with someone who's only done a 1 year postgrad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even trust my counselors half the time.
Right.
Counselors. I love you, but...
Yeah, I mean, again, the counselling thing can be a little...
There's
There's a conversation to be had about the quality of counselling at times in certain areas. So, Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Before we move into our last positive story, because I feel like I'm going to try and make it a positive story, even though I found a terrible spin on it. Q&A last week. This one here with the Ombudsman, the outgoing
yes.
Ombudsman, who's kind of like the government's watchdog.
Yeah, I applied for this was
He-
the internship I applied for, was for the
Oh,
Ombudsman.
did you?
Didn't get
Good
it.
on ya. This guy here, he's the outgoing Ombudsman, Peter Boshier. To be honest, this is the first thing I've ever seen of him. I'm pretty sure you guys in the chat will go, yeah, this guy sucks for some reason. But watching this interview, he's fantastic, honestly. He came across as very genuine in that he had a lot to learn, being a lawyer, and he reflected a lot in his time as the Ombudsman in terms of his treatment of people in the courts and being a judge and being a lawyer, and how he was perhaps incorrect in some of the things. He talked about tikanga. He talked about his time going through the prisons and seeing that, being the judge or the lawyer, he didn't see where people, especially as being the judge, right? He sentenced based on the sentencing, but he didn't actually go much further. He didn't know where they were going or what the prisons were like, right? It was just, that's my job as I sentence, and the next, the Department of Justice takes over from here. So this is fantastic because he talks about, actually there were things that I should have done better, and as the Ombudsman I got to learn more about prisons, and I got to be the watchdog and do the oversight and improve things. And I was like, this is so fucking good. And I was really gutted that he was leaving the job, because I'm like, this guy is fantastic. Like, he's actually showed growth and learning, and I think he had to leave the job because he turned 72, but this is a on face value, this is a 72-year-old white man. Typically not someone who perhaps is quite progressive, perhaps.
Yeah.
Don't judge a book by its cover, but honestly, this guy is like, watch the interview, because it made me feel good about that there are really good people above us a little bit. There are good people in good positions, it's not all shitty people at the top.
To be fair, when I learned that the Ombudsman, like, that's why I even applied, is because I was at a uni careers day, and I was like, what the hell is an Ombudsman? And they're like, it's basically who watches the watchers. Like, they're the ones that do all of those, like, oh, we got someone to investigate. Like, it's such an important role. I just wish that actually when it comes to the Ombudsman that they maybe even had like a little more, I guess, power. Because kind of similar to the Waitangi Tribunal, like, I think that there's definitely more that could be extended. But yeah, I mean, I personally haven't heard anything bad about him myself, and everything that I've seen of it, I'm just glad that there's someone who's doing it, because that's the point, is they're just supposed to take a, as unbiased as possible, and making sure that they have as much information on all sides as they can to make a decision, which I love it.
Yeah. So it's on the Q&A with Jack Tame YouTube channel if you want to go watch that, but highly recommend it. It was just kind of filled me with a bit of,
Yeah, I get that.
And also kind of a bit bittersweet, because I'm like, oh, he's leaving the job.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know anything about the incoming person, so
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see how that goes with them.
Yes. And the very last one for tonight is kind of my favorite person, is Ashley Bloomfield.
Hell yeah. Oh, I love me some Daddy Bloomfield.
Oh, Daddy Bloomfield. Returns after 5 years of the pandemic to do a little interview with Patty Gower on The Fucking News. Also, there's a great segment from this, from The Fucking News. Patty Gower does a little segment about how he's trying to trademark his name. He tried it with the full fucking, like the, F-U-C. But then he also tried, he's like, oh, they said it was too offensive, so I tried the hashtag $% thing. They also said no to that. The IP office, they have a name, I can't remember what it is, because they said it was too offensive and it would offend people. There's a great clip from him for about 5 minutes where he says The Fucking News in every opportunity he has. And it's so good. You just get to hear him say it, and like, just go and watch it. It's great. You get some nice little tidbits from this show.
I love that.
But there's a wee clip here that I wanted to show you guys. Just showing he's reflecting on his time as the Director General of Health, things that he would do differently, and things that he was really proud of. And I liked his answers. I thought they were good and they're nice. He's a good guy. Okay? He's a good guy.
Oh, no sound.
Oh, right. That's all right, because I'm at the wrong timestamp anyway. He was about to say some of the people in the office wanted him to recreate the greeting that he would do at the beginning. I'll show it at the end.
Yes.
You know, the Kia ora koutou. I can't remember what it was.
5 years on, some quick fire questions here about the pandemic. What are you most proud of in terms of decision making at the time 5 years ago? What's one thing that stands out? Quick fire.
Taking the big decisions with not much information at the right time.
All right. And what did you get wrong? And again, quick fire, is there something that stands out that you got wrong?
Well, as things went by and people's kind of tolerance waned, I think we could have done more listening, because even just active listening and hearing people's concerns and telling them a bit more about the pros and cons of what we were doing, that might have helped.
And quick fire, what would you do differently if you had your time again?
What I'd do differently is I'd keep a diary, because it's all a bit of a blur now. But the one other thing I'd do is I'd task one of my senior people with just being responsible for pastoral care of the people in the organisation, because it was absolutely challenging and some of them burnt out. And, I didn't have the bandwidth to kind of see that happening. And so I'd put a bigger focus on pastoral care of our people.
And a bit of a...
That is a guy who's a leader.
Ashley Bloomfield for Prime Minister.
That's a guy who genuinely cares about people. He went, oh shit, I didn't do a good enough job of actually looking after the people underneath me. Like, should have done better. I could have done better in that regard, but I did the best with the tools that I have. And I don't think many people would have hated him for it. I think they would have been like, totally understand, dude.
Well, yeah,
shitty time for everyone.
We still have to remember that these people are still humans. Sure, they've got some degrees that they've gotten and some experience, but at the end of the day, it's essentially like becoming a new parent for the first time. You don't know what the fuck to do. There is no rules. There's no guidelines, except becoming a parent. There's at least other people you can talk to about it. When it comes to a fucking pandemic that we have not experienced before in the current context, they did a really good job given the insane just scope of what that was.
If you want to get really angry, the opposite of this interview is Michael Laws on the platform, basically shitting on him for those exact answers, saying that the thing you would have changed was just writing a diary. This is the guy that blah 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 blah, totalitarian blah 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 blah, Jacinda Ardern, Jabcinda, whatever fucking blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah. And
he hated the comment that he did the best with as little information as he could. And
exactly.
Michael Laws just rips into him for that, as if he was incompetent.
As if Michael Laws is qualified and smart enough to fucking do half of what he could do.
Exactly.
Fucking Jesus Christ.
Honestly, you can have your own opinions and feelings, but I think the stats speak for themselves. There was a wee graph that I think Chewie showed earlier in the week. Just that flat line that we had. The rest of the world, deaths go like this. Us, it goes like this. I don't give a shit about your opinion of that time. I am really proud of what our government did, because I'm still alive today. You're still alive today. There are people in our lives who are still alive today that we may not have even known if they would have passed away or not.
Absolutely.
Thankfully, we don't know that, because it didn't have to happen like that. We were able to protect those people.
Absolutely. I'd rather be over the top cautious than under cautious, and have, especially given the populations that we have who are at risk. We have quite high populations of people who fit into those categories of being high risk. It was the right thing to do. And they could have done things differently. Anyone could have done things differently, but we're still the leaders of the world in terms of saving lives, which also meant that economically we were doing the best. I mean, at one point, our passport was considered gold because of the things that were going on. We were some of the first people who were allowed to leave the country, do stuff. We got to also be grateful. Yes, there were some negative things that have happened. There is definitely, a lot of things that have negatively happened, but a lot of those things probably would have had to happen anyway. It's either socially isolate or die. Sorry.
I don't want to die, so...
Yeah.
But I think because we were so lucky and isolated from what was happening in the rest of the world, people just have this opinion now because all they think about is the fact that they were locked up inside, and they're just shitty about it.
Well, and that's the thing is, I personally found lockdown to be extremely damaging to my psychology. I was not faring well after those lockdowns, but I'm still fucking thankful that that's all I had to worry about, because then I got COVID and long COVID 4 years later, and that has not been a great time.
Yeah. So that was the shitty side of this, and I wish I hadn't clicked on that Michael Laws video. But if you want to get angry and too, you can go and watch it if you really want to. But you can also go and watch this instead.
Yeah.
A little bit of funsies. The next one he asks is, can you please say the saying for the staff of the show?
Fun question here. A few requests from people in the office for, you to redo the greeting that you would do when you came down to those beehive briefings. How did it go when you came down each time? Kia ora tātou. Can you remember how to do it?
Oh, yeah. Kia ora koutou katoa. This is not a COVID-19 announcement.
This is not. That is good. And
God, that rings in my ears, doesn't it?
Oh,
I think
that
it
warms my heart.
Almost I don't know if I think it's a shiver for me personally. I'm just like,
I think it's because now my brain just associates Ashley and Jacinda's voices with a better time. So
that's true.
Not great, but those were still the better times than now.
And I'll just play this last wee clip, last minute, just to end off this, because I don't know, this guy just makes me happy, just a good bloke, a good guy.
It and embraced it.
And do you, sitting here today, 5 years on, have any regrets whatsoever about locking New Zealand down?
Yeah, I don't about that. And in fact, all the evidence is showing, and even the first stage of our inquiry, COVID inquiry, they concluded that actually lockdowns were a really important part of our response to keep people safe. And we were not the only country to do this. We were not the first, nor were we the only. The thing that we got right, though, was the timing. Hard and early, and actually, as it transpired, our lockdowns weren't as long as they were in many other countries. I was talking to a chief exec of a major firm here in New Zealand just last week, and he was in Seattle at the time. They were in lockdown for a year, a whole year, whereas we had those periods in New Zealand where we were in elimination, where we were essentially able to carry on our lives normally.
5 years on, what?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It's good reminders from the man that I think I would like to think that most of us were very, very lucky and very proud of for his work. And he's now a sir, which I think is very much well
Hell
earned.
yeah. Yeah.
And he's doing some really cool stuff in mental health and stuff at the moment. And there's some great stuff in the interview. Highly recommend going and watching it.
I'm always down to see more Bloomfield.
And Patty. I miss Patty on the news. I miss Patty.
Same.
I'm glad he got his show though.
Me too.
They didn't cancel the show completely.
All right. Do we want to go into memes and the last couple of things from community? All right. How about? Actually, we'll start with. Sorry. The things that I want to touch on for the news. So we'll just go share my screen. No, is that it? Yes. No, yes. My brain just... All right, do you mind popping me on the screen?
I can do that.
Thank you. All right. Well, coming up next weekend is the ASB Polyfest. They're celebrating 50 years. And amazingly, you can actually buy live stream tickets, which I think is really awesome in terms of accessibility. And the tickets are very cheap. It's just basically it's like basically the same price as going to the Home and Garden show. But yeah, this is on next week. I highly recommend looking into it if you're interested in going. I also wanted to show you, so I actually on the weekend, after I went to Alden City, we were walking to the supermarket and we actually stumbled across a skateboarding competition.
Cool.
And what was really awesome though is at this competition, they had an under 16s, which had a bunch of children, and these children were more under 10s, which was insane. This guy actually won the adults category. Just such a sick video. But there was also this amazing young girl. Her name's Isla Skates, and you can find her on Instagram, Isla_skates5. And she is a 6-year-old who is raising money for mental health by doing 100 bowls in 100 days. So she was actually at this competition. And I just thought it was really awesome to see this tiny little 6-year-old. She's so good. She was just shredding. I didn't get any videos, unfortunately, because I was just too enamored watching her. But yeah, if you want to go follow her progress, maybe, donate to her fundraiser, Isla Skates on Instagram. And then the last little bit of news, new Alien Weaponry album is out, and there's an amazing article from the spin-off. That's why when you said you like the spin-off earlier, I was like, oh, I also have a spin-off article. Obviously, I won't go through it, but new music's out. Go listen to their new album, Te Rā, and I highly recommend reading this interview because they go in depth into, what the songs are about, a bit of the history of, of being a Māori metal band. So highly recommend looking into that because Alien Weaponry are fucking awesome. And Shepherd's Rain. If you like metal, Shepherd's Rain. They're a Polynesian metal band. And now I guess we'll just go into. Actually, there was one comment. Someone. Baseline Music Festival in Dunedin this weekend. I don't know anything about it, but apparently that's on in Dunedin if you want to go to that. Also, you guys might have remembered us talking a little bit about the Internet New Zealand thing with the TPU trying to vote against enshrining Te Tiriti within the Constitution. The last day to sign up so that you can vote in the on the Constitution is the 31st. So only a couple of days from now. So if you want to do that, go do it. If you know people who might be interested in doing that, please let them know. That would be awesome. And then we'll finish with memes.
Nice. The
2 most stolen items in the world. Surplus value of workers' labor, indigenous land. Gonna tell my kids this was the National Coalition with good old Dr. Evil and his cronies. And then we've just got a few community memes. Imagine being so full of shit that you need 2 extra assholes. Which
3.
There's also the tiny little. I think it's is it Van Belden? No, or is that Nicola?
It's Nicola.
Yeah, it must be Nicola. It is a little blurry, so I couldn't tell who it was. David Seymour figuring out how many kids he can't feed. I didn't know who made this one, so I didn't put a credit on it. ACAB. All Chris's are biased, which I love this one because again. Chippy, I want to like you, but what the hell, bro?
See, we're not absolute shills for the Labour Party. We
right?
Can criticize them.
I mean, it's not like I vote for them anymore.
Happily criticize them on this one.
Right?
It's true. It's true.
Other people with a time machine. I am your granddaughter. Really? Me with a time machine. I brought Nicola Willis with me to put her in charge of supplying the Endeavour. And I just... Chef's kiss. Historical meme. And this is Kai Matata has made there's 3 of them. So if they ever remake the Dark Knight trilogy, they should have Simeon Brown as the Joker. After all, he has experience destroying hospitals. Then we have David Seymour as Scarecrow. which I believe was for a very specific reason. Because Scarecrow uses fear to get the public to fight each other. I made sure to make a note about that little, because I see you, Kaimatara. I love the chef's kiss. And then we've got Chris Luxon as Two-Face, because, lies all the time. What he'd say to you is some bullshit. Then we have, this is something that was posted in the Discord. It's this horrible thing saying radical Māori are taking over our country. What they want you to think, reality, rad and cool Māori are supporting our country. So I love that one from Kiwi Burb. And then Kiwi Burb coming through with more amazing art. I know, right? The expression is so good. It's like a mix of fear and confusion, and just there's so much emotion in those eyes and no real thoughts. So
it just reminded me of a game.
Oh no. And if people want access to this image, it is available in our Discord in the memes. So actually maybe we should, maybe Kiwi Scoop, maybe we should pin this in the Discord of people. Or actually, Kiwi Boob, if you can pop that into the Right Here in News one, we'll pin it in there. And then that way, if people want to find it, maybe we should add your images to our memes drive online too, I think, so that if people need we got to make sure people can find your amazing artwork, because the memes can only get richer from here with this beautiful art. As Ems is furiously looking for.
Hang on.
No, you're good. I can go through a couple of super chats here if you. Oh, you got it.
This
oh my god! Yes.
Came to mind, but not.
But he so looks like that.
I think I'm thinking of this one, but I swear there's another one.
Oh Jesus! They do look like Luxon though. Kind of do.
I think that's what came to mind. There was another one, but I can't remember.
All right, well, I'll read these couple of ones, but we've got Tipene Ngāpaki for $2. Got so mad, used AI to write a manifesto. Fuck, nacked FI. Oh, that's good. And then Tipene again. I miss Polyfest. Dunedin is very devoid of colour, and I do agree with you. That is definitely something I noticed when I visited. I definitely got a bit of the heebie-jeebies. But I blame your colonizing ancestors, Ems. It's their fault.
I mean, they were literally all over the museum, so I mean...
Right? Literally.
This is the other one that came to mind. It's not quite
the
same, but it was just that face.
Yeah. To be fair, that game is hilarious. I've watched so much play of that.
But I think this is just top.
I mean,
top
chef's kiss.
Well done.
Always be a fan of Kiwi Birb's art.
Very much. Well, I think that's it for tonight.
Yep. That is we're already at whatever
90-minute
hour. Yeah. Well, over a 90-minute hour. We're at a 104-minute hour.
I think the boys bet our time, didn't they? They got over the 2 hour mark.
I did say that. See, they did that. I feel like they're trying to compete with us now. I also saw they were putting memes. They're coming into our territory, man.
I saw that too, and I was like,
right?
I mean, Magenta's going to be very happy about that.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I'm just happy that there's more memes overall. Great and good, but also I was like, coming for my memes, are ya?
Coming for my memes. Hands off my memes. Oh, it's been a fun show. We tried to keep it light and airy and fluffy, but let's be honest, the world is shit, and sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches and make the most of it, like that beautiful artwork by Kiwi Burb.
Yeah. Well, that awesome little 6-year-old who can shred like fucking nobody's business.
That's true. Or Ashley Bloomfield for being an absolute
god. Baby, come back.
Baby, come back to me. Don't want another pandemic. but I'd like to see you. Let's say goodbye.
Roll the tapes.
Let's roll.
Oh. What meme, Rogers?
Oh, he said look in your DMs, quickly.
Oh, okay, sorry. I didn't know I was supposed to look. No one told me. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I found it. Guys, apparently we're getting a bonus surprise. I know the meme about. I will. Oh, wait, no, Rogers, we'll look at that one later just because I got to be careful I don't do the thing I did last time. You know the thing I did last time? Yeah, I don't want to do that.
No.
We'll hold that meme and we'll come back to you. Oh, leave me alone. Of course I'm not on Do Not Disturb or D&D. I don't know if that's Do Not Disturb or Dungeons and Dragons.
It's the same.
But yes, we'll look at that one maybe next week. We'll get it sorted.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed this wonderful Friday night show, and look forward to seeing us next week and the boys on Monday.
And Leftist Collective on Sunday.
Oh, and Leftist Collective on Sunday. Don't miss that.
I'm so excited for.
Kieran McAnulty is also joining in, so that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
And the woman from Aotearoa Liberation League.
Yes.
So excited for that.
Yes. So everyone tune in, I think it's like 8 p.m. on Sunday, if I'm not wrong.
Is it 8? I didn't check. I don't know. You guys will see it. Just after this, just click on the little DOC Studios underneath the video. She'll be right.
What do you mean? What do you mean who? I said Kieran McAnulty. Did I not?
Oh, I don't know.
Is it not? Am I wrong? Ah, well, let's carry on.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work out what they can afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas and the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a warpath to run, and linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a welcoming vibe, with an A and a self and a higher in mind. All heavily, neither this way or that, and we'll be analyzed by what Chewie and Pat. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. It's Big Hairy News.
Thanks everyone for joining in this wonderful Friday evening. Pat and the Leftist Collective and Hottie McAnulty, as Kiwi Skirt would like me to say, will be with you Sunday at 8 p.m. and we'll be back, and then Matt and Chewie on Monday at 9 p.m. and then ourselves on Friday at 9 p.m. Virginia, anything to say before we go?
Actually, yeah, I'm going to put a link in the chat if you guys want to read an article of mine that was put in the Salient magazine. Go read my work.
Nice. It's been fun. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and we will see you next Friday.
Yeah. Keep cool to after school, everyone. Ka kite.
Johnny.